guys, it's Kelly here and I'm back with another video for Honeybee stamps. Today we are going to be using the Lovely Layers Rabbit, the Apple Barrel. I showed you the tulips, didn't end up using them, the egg carton, and then the sentiment set is Happy Easter. And so this one is a little bit different. I cut all of my pieces out of white. I did cut the tulips. I did not end up using them. I actually used them in a live, I think later that week. And that video, that edited version of that video will be up probably sometime this week. But anyway, I cut them all out of white. And then I went in and colored them with my Copic markers. But what makes this video different is I feel like every year I make a similar version of this card, and every year I don't love it. So this year, instead of just being like, okay, I'm just going to be happy with what it is, I decided to remake it, give it a little glow up, if you will. Here, this is the Easter lilies, the Lovely Layers Easter lilies. I'm actually using the palms from that, and that's going to be the greenery in my barrel slash basket. And so here, this is me just sorting out all of my pieces like I like to do. That way everything gets sorted by where it goes and then by like its pieces parts and then by color. You'll see by the time we're done here, there's a lot of pieces parts, but we are not using nearly this many. None of the tulipy pieces. So we're going to start with the bunny. I chose to color my bunny like a light gray because I knew I was going to have a lot of colors with my Easter eggs. And so I like to do my Lovely Layers all the same way. I lay them down. I use my lightest color to mark where the shadows are going to be. And then that way I can color the layers individually, knowing exactly where my shadows need to be. Not that there's a ton of shadows for this one because he is a light gray bunny. But I did do his ears and his nose pink. So anyway, back to what I was saying. It's not that and I want to be very clear about this, it's not that the first car is bad. I just don't love it. And so I wanted to share, because we all have cards that we make that we don't love. So I wanted to share what I changed to make it so it was something that I love, because that may help you if you have a card that you're like, you know what, this is just okay. It's not great. I'm not head over heels for it. So that maybe you can pick out the things that you would like to change, and then how I got to kind of where I was going, and also what things stayed the same. So I like to color, like Copic color or Olo or what, whatever alcohol marker. I do like to color my die cuts that way. That's not for everybody. You can do this card using colored cardstock that will cut down on the time significantly, and it will still be a very cute card. Just know that like you can adapt it to be more of your own style. My issues were I guess like one thing about the coloring was one of my issues, but it wasn't really the coloring. It was actually the contrast. And then the layout was my other issue, as well as like the choice of the background. So none of those things would be affected by colored cardstock. Also, I don't want to discourage you from trying something new, because sometimes when we try something new, that's when we're like the least happy with what we're creating. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't try new things. I have a couple of videos that are coming up where I have kind of pushed outside my norm and tried new things. And it's good. It's good to stretch creatively, because then you learn different things that you do like, and you learn different lessons for how to approach different crafts. Well, different crafts, because I'm always a card maker, but there are other ways to incorporate different elements of crafts into your card making. So I encourage you strongly to mess around with that and see what else it is that you like. Maybe what other kind of cards you like to make, or other elements that you could include in your card, or maybe interactive or shaped, or there's all kinds of different cards. So anywho, my original card, I sat down. This was after I came back, I think, from traveling. And I told you in my last video, I got sick. I can only imagine that I picked it up on the plane because I was fine um, on Monday, and I was fine for most of the week, I think. Behind, of course, because my travel was messed up, which is a very long story, and I don't think that this is the right video to tell that in, but I will tell that story. But then, like, maybe it was like Tuesday night into Wednesday, like, it just started going downhill. And it's pretty much been that way. It's Saturday, I think, was the worst day. No, Sunday. Sunday was the worst day so far. Today is definitely better. I have a killer headache. I just cannot kick. I've tried the coffees, I've tried the waters, I've tried all the medications. It just seems to be hanging around. And I'm a person who's prone to headaches anyway. So here, I did go around the edges of my bunny with that I think it was a C3, which was my mid-tone, just to make sure that all the the white pieces weren't sticking out. And then I noticed, that when I was doing my bunny eyeballs, so like you can, see those two little black. Well, they're not. It's a C9. It's a dark gray. Those are my little bunny eyeballs that I actually colored two of the same shape. So I had to go back into my little tray where I keep all of my little pieces and find the correct eyeball to put it into the slot. I do find with these littler pieces that it is easier to put the glue like down onto the eye socket and then pop the little eyeball in versus putting the glue on the small little die cut of the eyeball and then trying to place it. And then once I got both of them in, I did use my white gel pen just to do a little dot on each eye just to give it a little bit of life. And then our bunny is done. For the barrel, I kept things pretty simple. I just did a warm brown and then I used the same cool grays for the band. This one, I didn't even feel it was necessary to lay the band down because the Lovely Layers have like embossing where that area will be seen. So it's pretty simple on this band for the little apple barrel to follow along with that to see where the shadows need to go. And then here is where I'm like, wait a minute, does not look dark enough. And it's not. It's because I needed the one darker. I was using my dark mid-tone. So clearly I was just having a day about it. You know what I'm saying? But that's okay. We made it through. I did add that darker shading more to the bottom, but up top even, I extended it up just a little bit because that barrel is made out of, like those little slats. And so we do want to make sure that we keep that separation that gives us the look of the barrel. I use except for this year, I would say I just reuse the same baskets. I mean, what do other parents do? I don't know. I feel like I'm not buying a new basket every year. This year, I will say Jelly Bean is going to get a new basket. And the only reason that she is going to get a new basket is because we had our crafty shopping spree a few weeks ago. I think I told you guys about. And while we were there, they had like a little felt basket that had like real pretty flowers on it and stuff. And she was like, "Can I have that one?" And I was like, "Nah, fam, you can't." But then I was like, "I'll go back and get it, fine, because it's cute." So here, it does have that wood grain embossed on there. And I'm just using my darker mid-tone to follow along that wood grain. It's not that deep, guys. As long as you're just giving it an effort, we're going to go over it with the light mid-tone, and that's going to blend it all in anyway. We're also going to use the light mid-tone to create the separation at the top where we see the edge of the wood barrel and versus like the side of it, and then add a little bit of shadow in between one of those planks. We're not going to glue this together because we need to put all of our items in there. So I'm just going to leave the top and the bottom separate. For the little band, I did my two darkest colors for the one that sits behind, and then a combination of the darker colors and lighter colors that I used for the bunny, that's C5, C3, and C1 for the top part, which is like that shiny kind of metal band. And then they just sit on top of each other. There are little like rivets or nails where like, you know, you would drive those in so that the band would hold. I did go in with my C5 and just mark those as well. And then, yeah, we're just going to glue that, just the top part pieces together before we move on to the next thing. So anyway, so she is going to get a new one. My oldest is old now, and he knows all of the things, you know, that kids learn as they get older. And so he does not require a new Easter basket. He's fine with the Easter basket that he has. It does make me a little sad. But as I previously stated in my last video, he is going to be a teenager this year. And so he doesn't have that element of surprise anymore, I guess is a nice way of saying it. So here, these are the palms from that Easter lily. I am going to use these to just be the greenery in my basket. You could use whatever kind of leaves you have. These ones I just felt mimicked the look of like the grasses that we all put into those Easter baskets. Though I think last year I did paper. Because I waited. I waited until the last minute. Last Easter was rough because it wasn't the last holiday that I celebrated with my mom, but it was the second to last one. So we were in it. She was home for Easter. We were already in hospice care. And so I just got whatever I got for Easter when it came to filling up the baskets. So here, this is going to be a little bit sped up. I am showing you each one of the color combinations that I am going to use. And then I'm just going to knock them out super quick. These are more on the pastel side of the color combinations. So there's, these are really good like Easter pastel spring colors. They just don't necessarily have as much contrast as I like. So I'm going to change them when we go back, but just a little bit, just a smidge. But anyway, so these are all the colors that I picked if you're looking for good, nice pastel Easter colors. So anyway, the last holiday that we celebrated was Mother's Day. So that will be my last first before it's been a year. And that's kind of rough. But Easter was the last that she celebrated with the kids. So I got some feelings about that coming up, but I am, just like when we talked about with Christmas, like I don't want my kids to feel that effect. Like I know that she would have made it so special for them. And Easter especially, because, it is the like we're doing the Easter bunny, but it is, it's the celebration of the resurrection of Jesus. And that is literally my whole, my whole hope in, getting to see my mother again is knowing that, that Jesus, that she's waiting with Jesus until my time comes. And then I will get to see her again. And so it makes it an extra special celebration. So I don't want it to be a sad time for them. I do want it to be a happy, joyous occasion because that is what it is. So here, this is incredibly sped up because this is the background that I ended up doing. So I chose the spring vine layering frames. I used the same elements, just different parts of them. So for this one, I used the largest one, like the largest die cut. And then I did this ink blending, like a little bit of a blue sky and a little bit of a green grass there at the bottom so that I could build up my little Easter, like my little bunny and my little Easter eggs. And so this is, I guess I'm doing like a little, like I don't want to call it a cheat scene, but you get what I'm saying. There's very little going into the scene in the background. And so I'm just doing that. And then I love to add the shimmer. So I did do some perfect pearls and just kind of spattered those into the background to add into a little bit of shimmer. And then here I went in and I just added some fun little designs to my Easter eggs. So I did polka dots on one. I did like a diagonal crisscross. I did diagonal stripes on one. I did swirls. I did little flowers. And I left some of them plain. The white gel pen is a great way to add this kind of detail for, you know, to like our little Easter eggs. It looks very cute. And you can see this, the barrel is not put together. It's just kind of sitting there at this point. I also heat embossed my Happy Easter sentiment on some darker green cardstock and then cut that out with its coordinating die. This one I just did regular stripes, just up and down stripes. But you know, you can do whatever patterns work for you. You know, or you could do them tone on tone. You wouldn't even have to do the white gel pen. You could just do them tone on tone. And then I'm going to put the whole card together. And you'll be able to see that, like here, this is one of the things that stays the same as the grounding of the object. So I'm using my green to just kind of ground that in, and then gluing together my elements. And then this is the finished card here. So let me tell you what I didn't love. I did not love the lack of contrast in my pastel colors. And this is something that is a struggle for me every time I make a pastel card. So I'm not adding a ton of dark to it. I still want them to read as lighter eggs, but I did add a darker color to the outside edge. So for each one, I just went around the edge. I did not add very much. You can see some of them I'm actually like coloring on my glass mat, just barely getting that darker color on there. And these have dried, by the way. So I can color right over that white gel pen with no problem, but I am leaving the centers still really light, so they still kind of read as pastel. This just gives them a little bit more dimension because we have that contrast. The other thing that I did not love about it is the contrast of the scene. The eggs were very pastel. My bunny is very pastel. My ink blending, very pastel. Everything was just kind of like meh, meh. And so I wanted there to be more contrast. I also felt like my eggs, there was no balance to my card. Like my egg barrel sat too low on the card, and then the bunny was on the bottom, and then the sentiment was on the bottom, and I just had a lot of open area in the top of the card, so it made it feel very unbalanced, and I did not love that. It also was a little bit, I don't want to say messy. I like a really clean look. Like I like a more clean and simple card. And that one didn't have a lot of just clean space. So I do love a frame. I do love a structured kind of focal point. And so that is one of the things I decided to switch up. Still using that spring vine layering set. I'm just using the smaller piece now. And I'm bringing in the contrast with that darker teal background. So that's going to give me a clean look. I'm also going to trim that down later on so that I can have a white border. And this one, I just feel like it pops so much more for me. I would love to know which one you guys like better. You'll see them side by side in a little bit. I do also want to mention Honeybee recently added a ton of sale stuff. They have an overstock sale, they have a clearance sale, and they have a last chance sale. There's different stuff in different bins. I'll have it linked below. But the clearance is like stuff that is not necessarily their brand, but is stuff that they keep. So like Tim Holtz spritzes are in there. There's watercolor pencils. There are watercolor brushes. There's lots of different items that are not necessarily Honeybee brand. The other thing, the overstock, is a slight discount on things they're going to continue to carry. They just have a lot of. So if there's something like that's been on your list that you want to pick up, that's a great time to get it. And then the last chance. So the last chance is Honeybee brand things that they are no longer going to carry. I was really, really surprised when I saw what was in there. There's lots of stamps, stamps that I've illustrated, stamps that Dawn has illustrated. I have shared this with, I've shared my fear with you guys before that stamping's going by the wayside because die cutting is so popular. And so there's a lot of stamps in there. So if you're a stamp fan, please remember to buy them. Here I am grounding these. I also built up my egg basket and elongated, like by using that spring vine layering piece, I elongated the way that the card is to make it more balanced. And that way I could continue to have the same elements at the bottom, but the top was taller than heat embossing it just like I did before. So the other thing in the last chance thing, which I've never seen before, is there's some lovely layers in there. So if you have not checked out that sale, I would highly recommend that you do. There's a lot of very surprising things in there. So anyway, back to the card. So here, now that I have everything kind of arranged and I've made that arrangement a little bit taller, I've used this piece from the spring layering frame to elongate my design to help it be more balanced. I'm going to go ahead and glue that down. I did think about popping this up, but I wanted to keep it as similar as I could to the previous card. But popping it up is another way that you could add more interest to it. Here, my grounding felt like it was cut off by the sentiment. So I did go in with the C1 and just add it underneath that Happy Easter. So it kept it from looking completely cut off. When I did the coloring, I lost a little bit of that detail with the white gel pen, so I did go back in and added that back in. And then for the shimmer, I'm adding rhinestones this time because they make me happy. I don't know why I didn't add them in the first place because that would have made the card especially better always, in my opinion. So these are the rainbow rhinestones. I'm adding those. And then I did use Stardust Stickles to add some glitter to my Easter eggs, just because I think that's super fun. You could also add glossy accents. It's glitter. It's not your thing, but it definitely is mine. And then so this is the second card finished. So I'm going to put them side by side. Like I said, the first one is not bad, but the second one I feel like is a more of a Kelly card. I'd love to know your opinion on what you think. So thank you guys so much for joining me. I always appreciate your time, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.